Welcome to Keep the Hotel Empty. Today we've kept the hotel empty for maker, designer, and entrepreneur Toli Marchuk, and out from behind the camera, our very own Mr. Seth Stallman. So, Toli, welcome. Seth, welcome. Not like I need to welcome you. Welcome to this side. I very much appreciate you coming down.
Yeah, I appreciate you putting Seth, on the chair too. I was talking to Seth a couple weeks ago. He was like, "Hey man, come on the podcast." I'm like, only if you're sitting with me, because him and I have such an interesting history, working together over the last, probably decade?
Yeah, I was thinking about it. It's
literally coming from nothing.
Almost exactly a decade now.
Yeah, literally coming from nothing, just working as freelancers. I don't know, you were 14 years old at the time?
12.
12, exactly, 12.
Yeah.
I was, 22, 23 or something like that. And, the journeys, that we've gone through together is insane.
Yeah.
Is insane.
Absolutely bonkers.
So let's kind of press rewind a little bit. Where is it when this bug bites you? Are you're a little kid and you're like, did you have entrepreneurs around you growing up? How did you get on this road?
Yeah, so I was raised in Portland, Oregon, and after high school, I jumped into a community college, and not really looking for a degree, but just kind of trying to figure out what it is I wanted to do. I took every single course, and I took a psychology course, and I was like, okay, this is really cool. This is really cool, but I'm not gonna get a medical degree. So I dropped out, and I started a graphic design business because I was doing that before that just for fun, stuff for friends every now and then, whatever. So I started a business, and a friend of mine at the time had launched one of the first mobile ringtone apps for the Android store, right? And he was killing it. He was making $100,000 a month off of ads.
And what year is this?
This is, this was 2011, maybe 2010 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And he hired me to do the graphic design for some of his stuff. Mm-hmm. And that was really my first taste, of what it was like to be an entrepreneur. And since then I was like, okay, that's what I want. I want to build my own stuff and have fun doing it.
So you didn't, as you were a kid, it wasn't like you grew up around entrepreneurs and you knew this was just like a happenstance thing that felt right?
Well, my dad, so my family is actually a first-generation Ukrainian family. We immigrated from Ukraine in 1994. My dad came here, and my mom with 8 kids.
Holy smokes.
Not speaking the language, but not really having any connections or anything, and they just made it work. My dad is the hardest working man that I know.
Awesome.
Right, and so that was kind of my example of work ethic.
So this is well rooted.
Yeah, exactly. So working on something is something that's really deep inside of me. Right. For better or for worse.
Okay, so then you make the switch from psychology into graphic design. That's a hell of a twist. So you get this first taste of graphic design. How does that lead into what you start to do? Where is the first thing that you start to branch out on and try to nurture yourself?
Yeah, so the graphic design, it was also web design as well.
Okay.
And design in general is a psychological thing. You're designing for somebody to use this thing, and it's got to be easy to use. It's got to be, you have to, entice them to go down a journey, for some goal. You kind of have to understand human nature, right? And so that's that was the transition between focusing, on psychology and human nature, and into web design, and eventually marketing. And I started up a web design agency. This is around the time that I met Seth. It was called SideClick, and I was just doing freelance work and that kind of thing. And eventually that transitioned into an agency called Avenue Media, which I think you worked with Avenue Media a little bit, right?
Yeah. And if I can put the brakes on the conversation right here for a sec and just kind of give you that SideClick intro, area. My first time I met Tony, it was my first day on the job ever. My first day on my first job.
As a 12-year-old.
Yeah. And so I think it's cool to hear like his like backstory because, you know, I learned a lot from you obviously over the years showing you graphics and whatnot. And, you know, that psychology background 100% was baked into like all of the feedback he ever gave me. Like I would make something that I thought looked like technically good, and he would look at it and say like, man, if you're a caveman, like looking for fire and like hunting, like where does this graphic take you? Like where's the fire? Where's the smoke? And I'm like, I don't know what you're saying, man, but and then
it sound like I'm talking in riddles.
Yeah, he was like he would just be like, how does it make somebody feel? And that was like, you know, I had a very technical, you know, training to begin with. My first internship, the lady who ran it was like a fresh out of design school. And so she taught me all these like fundamentals. And then like you like primarily taught me how does that make somebody feel? And what does it make them want to do next? And where does it lead them? And yeah, like that was like all the psychology side was.
So the correlation between the psychology and what these user interfaces or graphics do, was that something that somebody taught you, or was something that just became innately obvious to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess like when I started to become, you know, an adult, like after high school, I was really interested in human nature and personal development because I felt like there was something wrong with me. You know, I was just kind of unhappy with life, right? Just as like most, I don't know, young adults are, you know, kind of unsatisfied. There's like anxiety, like I'm not
that
doing
angst.
enough. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I started to seek out like books and courses, you know, to try and understand myself.
Smart.
And that's what took me down the journey of, you know, understanding flow states, you know, understanding, you know, kind of the fact that like you really can do anything that you want, you know, as long as it's, you know, it's like correct up here. You know, like as long as like you know what you want and, you know, and you take the next steps, right? That's just like kind of obvious.
Seemingly.
Yeah, it's like seemingly obvious. You know, the truth is like pretty simple, right? It's like, I mean, you really, this is kind of foo-foo, whatever, but
yeah,
you know, I feel like you really, really can do everything that you want. You just have to kind of believe in yourself and then take the next steps, whether you have to learn something, you know, to get a better understanding of the next step or to connect with someone. You know, it's like it's there, you know, the path is there. You just have to believe that it's there, you know, kind of believe in yourself too. And so that's kind of the understanding, you know, that I came to, you know, as a young adult, that it's all up here, right? It's all psychological, right? And so these things that we would create, these websites, these graphics, whatever, these products, there's always another human, you know, on the other end. And, you know, and you're designing or building this thing for them. And so put yourself in their shoes, and what are they experiencing?
So you didn't have to be necessarily shown that. It was an open-mindedness and the things you had gathered that kind of made that obvious to you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice. So you use that and you get SideClick going. So what are you doing there that makes it so you can actually get to the next step? How does SideClick start? What are you doing for work? How are you marketing this? I do all kinds of things, and I have a more global understanding. How are you finding clients? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I knew that I had the skill set, you know, to do stuff. I mean, just based on the feedback I got from existing clients.
Right.
And I stumbled into a co-work space at the time that was called The Hub. Have you heard of it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The Hub.
Most definitely.
Yeah, with Rich Swire, with David Daly.
Very cool.
And you know, they kind of brought us actually like under their wing, right? And you know, it was just a place where you can connect and network with people, you know, and that's how I started to get a lot more work. I was actually thinking of actually leaving Sarasota until, you know, I found The Hub, right?
Yeah, well then shout out to them because that was one of their big things to try to do, and that was in the early stages of The Hub, yeah?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, I mean, I would say probably midway through, because The Hub used to actually have a location out here in Rosemary.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Exactly. Yeah, so I think 2 locations before they moved over to Fruitville over here. Is where I found them.
So you get to the co-work space, and that opens which door first?
I would say the networking door. You know, like getting connected with people. You know, kind of like making like a name for myself. You know, getting clients, and you know, I started to work under or with David Daly at Hub Media, which was kind of like the media marketing branch of the Hub, right? And so you know, that for me was a really like it was one of those like work situations where I absolutely loved what I did. You know, I was making some money, and I did it with people that I liked, right? And like that, like I don't know, even today, like as long as I'm like building cool shit with people that I like, I'm happy, you know, and the money, you know, just happens to follow.
Right. So what was the first cool shit you got to build there?
It was just, I mean, it wasn't really so much about like the project itself. It was the people, you know, I was with.
So when does it become the project?
What do you mean?
Like, when do the projects start to become bigger? When do you realize, you know, this is when SideClick starts to evolve into the next venture?
I think it was after my time with Hub Media, you know, because I learned a lot from David Daly, you know, and just the way that he ran his agency. And that's when I started to, you know, to kind of realize, okay, you know, like I think it's time for me to do my own thing, right? And, you know, and that's like really where SideClick was born, right? And I actually started it off as a well, actually after the freelance stuff, I started it as a subscription-based marketing company. That, you know, it was kind of an experiment to see if I can like basically get clients to sign up for a low monthly cost. You know, it was like $249 a month or something like that, to just manage their web presence, right? And so it was definitely a struggle because people didn't respect that low price point. You know, like it was one of those things where people, you know, really do base the value of what you provide based on your price.
Like a wine list?
Exactly, like a wine list. You know, like you can buy a $25 bottle of wine or a $250, you know, bottle, and it's a world of difference as far as how you, as far as how you know, taste it.
Right.
But I mean, it could be the same bottle.
Right.
Right. And so after SideClick, you know, I kind of realized that, you know, I needed a partner. You know, like I'm a product guy at the core of it. Like I want to like make cool stuff that people love. I'm not really so much the guy that goes out and sells it. You know, and so I realized that I needed a you know, kind of more of like a sales oriented, you know, partner. And that's when I met Olivier. Excuse me. And we started Avenue Media together. And so at that point is when I feel like the success really started to roll in. You know, yeah.
And what do you think the big change was that led that? Was it now you're just marketing yourself in a different way? Now the price point is more reflective of your skills instead of just trying to do business, period? Or what do you think was open the floodgate there?
It was the, you know, kind of having an equal partner with equal responsibilities, but doing, you know, like working on the same stuff to help each other out, but also having contrasting abilities. You know, like I was a bit more technical. He was a bit more, you know, on the salesy end, but we could both do like 80% of the work, right? And so I think having that kind of dynamic duo aspect to it is, you know, it's very, very powerful. You know, and we got along. We were like really good friends too, right? That's important. So
I was going to say that's hard.
Yeah, so we'd look forward to come, you know, into work every day, right? And, you know, just always like had all kinds of crazy ideas. That's where the face masks came from. That's where Cluck.
Yeah, tell me a
came
little
from.
bit about that because I want to hear a little bit about, because I've heard about the face mask,
Yeah.
a touch from Seth. I want to hear about it from you because this is kind of a wild story.
It is.
And everybody that comes in here has their kind of COVID moment in their story, and it's kind of interesting. So if you would, please touch on the
Sure.
face mask story a little bit because I think it's pretty dang funny and cool.
Yeah, no, it's probably one of the craziest times of my life.
Yeah.
So,
Same here.
so you work with Donald from Tweeds, right?
Yeah, currently, yeah.
Yeah, so this was early COVID. What was that, like 2020, 2021?
Yeah, 2020
Yeah.
in the very beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, so Donald approached me because he knew that I did like web stuff, right? He was selling suits. His factory, I believe it got like shut down and they started to make face masks instead. And so all he had was face masks. And so he was like slinging these things on Facebook, and he told me he was making like $2,000 to $5,000 a week, just like selling this stuff on Facebook. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And at the same time, like he was still in the box truck, so nobody was getting in close quarters with
Right.
a dude in a box truck to get measured.
Yeah,
You know.
he had to pivot.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, talk about like a real innovator, like he didn't let COVID take him down, He's just
Oh,
like,
no,
all right,
I
like,
wouldn't.
like, what's the next thing, right? And so he approached me to, he's like, hey, do you want to build a Shopify store, and we could sell these things? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah, why not? Let's do it. So we fired something up real quick. I've got videos and pictures on my phone of that time, just like boxes of masks arriving into a small office. Like, I mean, how big was the office? Like
The first one, that was on like what, the second floor, I think.
yeah, of the lab.
And it was like, when I came on, we had 2 rooms, which was like the size of like where we are right now. And there was just like boxes lined the walls. They were all in the hallways. It was insane. There was more box than people.
Yeah, so we reached out to a couple of investor friends and we're like, hey, we need, some money. We need like $150,000. And, one of them was like, hey, if I give you $150,000, can you turn it into $1 million? And I said, yes. And we did. And we actually turned it into $10 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, like over the course of about 10 months.
Yeah.
And so, but before that, we, fired up the Shopify store, opened up some Facebook ads, and, I just put it out there. We got lucky because we kind of slipped under the radar first before Facebook implemented their ad policies that like you couldn't advertise face masks.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And so, so we were like, a handful of companies like that actually could, right? And so at some point, I think we were spending, I want to say like $1,000 to $2,000 a day on ads, right, to push this stuff out there. And I just remember us like watching our label printer that would print orders as they would come in. We set it up to print like as they would come in.
Right.
And it was just going all day long. It was just going, right?
And that
And what's
system
going through your
actually-
head at that point?
Honestly, just trying to fulfill everything. I mean, it was crazy to look at the Shopify app, and see, all the revenue that we had generated. Like,
And
wow,
suffice to
this is
say,
crazy.
nobody saw that coming. Or you guys
No,
didn't anticipate that
No,
in any way.
absolutely not. Yeah, and so we kind of hit a stride first. And kind of decided, all right, we need to scale this thing. Like, what is our ceiling? There's
Right.
a ceiling somewhere, and we have to find what it is.
Right.
And so we kind of figured that, okay, let's advertise some more. Let's get some more product. Let's get some variety in the product so people can choose a color or something like that. And let's work on the customer service. And so we quickly scaled up and rented out a warehouse here in Rosemary District and hired, 15 to 20.
Yeah. I think at peak,
People.
there was like 20 people altogether who were, making most of them better money than they were making at their jobs that they were fired from when
Because of
COVID
COVID.
hit. Yeah. So
Heck yeah.
people who lost their jobs, because of COVID, we're now making more money off of COVID.
That's a side huge win right there.
Yeah,
exactly. And so we worked on it for I don't know 10 months or so, and it was crazy having to deal with payment processors. Like they locked us up, I don't know, for like 2 months because just because we were making so much, and it just kind of came out of nowhere.
Right.
And the real ceiling at the end of the day was the advertising. It was Facebook, right? So we just kind of put out all kinds of ads, that we could, just to experiment everything, to see what would stick. And it was funny to see like which ads would actually stick. Like we'd create some of the worst graphic design possible. Honestly, like purposefully, like
I was just gonna say on purpose, I gather.
Yeah, purposely like trash ads. And it was insane to see what actually performed.
Yeah. It was always the weirdest ones. Like, and that kind of goes back to the psychology aspect of it. Like, I remember there was one where, like, Donald sent me this picture of him and his girlfriend, and he was like, just make an ad out of it. And so, like, I did this, like, before and after thing where, like, in Photoshop, I, like, make her teeth, like, all ugly and, like, did all this weird shit to her face. And then, like, did like before and after wearing a face mask. So with the mask on, it was just like, here up, which is just her eyes.
Yeah.
And that, like, those weird ads, like, did really well.
Yeah, we had like a long form video. We dragged, this massive whiteboard out into an alleyway next to a trash can, just like a dirty alleyway.
Yeah.
With Donald, kind of dressed up, and talking about these face masks, just to, try everything, just to see like what we could get away with. Right.
That had to be fun, though.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely fun. And so Donald was absolutely amazing to work with. And so the ceiling that we found was the advertising. At some point, like we just couldn't, advertise anymore. Right. After the face mask, we experimented with a couple of other products, like funky beer glasses. Yeah, like
what do you mean by funky beer glass?
Well, just like, okay, if you can imagine...
That's a broad category, I'd say.
Yeah, so if you can imagine like a standard... it's like a beer glass, right?
Yeah.
Or a water glass, whatever.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, we had all kinds of shapes, like a football shape. We had like a mushroom shape where like it would go out like this. What else did we have? We had like a...
skull,
like a slanted, like a curved and all this stuff.
So wild shapes.
Yeah, like wild shapes, exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, we did that. We did these dog poop bags that are still the best poop bags you can ever find.
Yeah.
Actually, you can't find them anymore because we're not selling them, but
yeah,
they were amazing.
I actually stole a couple boxes of them, and when I first like got the order in, I just gave a few boxes out to people that I know that just walk dogs for a living. Like, I just gave them bags, and they still come back to me like, got any more of those bags, man?
You gotta keep that one on the low,
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
There's another 10 mil sitting on the table there.
Yeah, so that was Doggy Pooper. What else did we do? Like some jewelry stuff. We did some.
Yeah, there was the fog wipes. So we had these like wipes that would like... if you ask me, it was kind of like a secondary way to sell face masks when you couldn't advertise on Facebook. Basically, like, when you wear glasses and you wear a mask, it fogs up your glasses. Right. So the wipes would stop the fog from coming and making you unable to see.
Yeah.
So after you get to do all of these things and you're getting to have some fun and experiment and throw some spaghetti at the wall and all this, what's your biggest takeaway from that round? That's like the montage part of the movie. What's your biggest takeaway from there? What do you come out on the other side with?
Sure. The reality is with the face masks, we just got really lucky. And we kind of learned a painful lesson after the face masks that real e-commerce is not like that. Like you really have to sell people on, what it is that you're selling. Like you can't just be like, hey, yo, this is cool. Don't you want it? Like face masks, like they had a really severe need on the other end, which is, hey, like I need to protect myself.
Right.
Right. And we were happy to be able to provide that to people.
Right.
But with everything else, it's a lot harder, right? And so we burned some money there, and eventually just had to shut everything down. But yeah, the biggest lesson is to really capture opportunity, when it comes to you, and move quick, Right? You had to move quick because if we had, I don't know, moved even, if we had delayed the launch for, I don't know, 2-3 weeks, it wouldn't have happened. You know, like all that wouldn't have happened. You know, but because we all, just like moved really, really quick, it worked.
Do you think the same thing holds true from moving to your second story place where you're buried in boxes to going to the warehouse? Had you snoozed in wanting to double down on yourselves, for lack of a better term, that wouldn't have happened as well?
Absolutely. You know, and I think in this case with the face masks, we were all very, very aware that this is a time-limited opportunity, right? At some point, we're not going to be able to do this, right? Or COVID will be over. There's going to be a new vaccine or something like that, which is awesome. Like, we were looking forward to that for everybody. But, we just knew that this opportunity was very, very time sensitive. You know, and everybody shared a real sense of urgency, right? And so it was a very stressful period.
I'm sure.
But really, really insanely fun because I was working with, like all my best friends.
Yeah, it was just like a playground every day. Like, I don't think I've ever, even to this day, have had a job like that where, like, there wasn't really like a line between like when I was home and when I was working, because it was just all of like our best friends, and we were just doing, we were just getting together every day and having fun. It's probably the most fun period of my entire life, which is really weird given the circumstance. Like, a lot of people have really nasty COVID stories, and like,
But
for
you
a
got
lot
to
of
go
people,
to e-commerce camp.
For a lot of people, they weren't like making money or something, and I was making the most money I've ever made and like having the most fun. It was very weird. It was weird, but very cool.
Yeah. And I think a little like side thing that came out of it to benefit, businesses, we launched something called Takeout SRQ. So when COVID hit, restaurants, obviously they couldn't dine in, right? And so, and places like Google Maps and Yelp, they hadn't released any kind of features to show which restaurants were open for takeout, right? And so we built some really quick within a week or something.
This is moving fast again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it was called Takeout SRQ, just completely, just for free because we wanted to benefit the Sarasota community, and we listed every single business that was open for takeout, right? The people can use this map to look them up, and order, right? And so I feel like, like we were, a decent part of, of actually helping these restaurants actually get through COVID. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Being swift like that helps.
Exactly.
Well, if you can take away the lesson that when the window of opportunity shoots out of it, you shoot out of it like a rocket.
Yeah.
That's what they always told me.
Exactly. There you go.
So what's the next window after COVID? Because now you've gained some knowledge. Now you've had some success, but you knew it was going to be short-lived. What's the next seed you get to plant? Because we're getting closer to where you're at today, yeah?
Yep. Yeah, so now this was about 3 years ago, I think it was. 2 years ago? No, 3 years ago. 2021, I think it was early 2021. So I had some extra cash, and I heard that some friends were making money in crypto, right? Just investing, in whatever.
Right.
Meme coins or whatever. And so
The Wild West of crypto.
Yeah, exactly. So I dipped my toe in.
Yeah.
And I made some money. I was like, okay, this is cool. I also lost some money too, due to scams and that kind of thing. And so I saw, I was like, okay, like people are making money. There's a lot of scams and all this stuff. Like, what if I launched like something and it was actually legit, and I could build something out of this, right? And so it was kind of made sense, like for my personal skill set, as far as being in media, marketing, development, and product, to build something.
Right.
So we launched a coin, and that was its own roller coaster, right? That was its own learning lesson. And shortly after that, an NFT collection called Bad Bears, right? So you were working with me at Bad Bears for quite a bit.
Yeah.
And that was, are you familiar with NFTs at all?
A little bit. Yes, yeah. I am personally, but definitely a little bit of background is always helpful.
Yeah, so very different from crypto, like coins. Coins, it's like you can buy it, and wait for it to raise in price, and you can sell whenever you want.
Right.
With NFTs, it's very different because, mean, first of all, you're typically buying some kind of art, right? That you like it because of the art value, right? It just looks good. But you also have a community with it as well, right? Like other people that have participated in this. And
How so?
I mean, essentially other people that believe in what you've built and also like the art
Gotcha.
and the utility behind what you have, right? So you kind of have a community of, I mean, basically believers.
Gotcha.
Right. And so, very different from meme coins and that kind of thing because meme coins, there's a lot of greed.
Yeah.
Because you can sell.
It's a different turn and burn situation.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so, so we launched Bad Bears. This was early 2022 when we launched it. Successfully minted out, and started building a new product. And this product was a pretty advanced decentralized finance piece of software. And a really, really bad thing happened. A developer that I had hired at the time built a backdoor into the software. And after he quit, drained all of the money out of the token. So it was a lot. I think it was close to $100,000, which was kind of the backbone of our project.
Right.
Yeah. And so it was a really devastating moment for myself and also for the community, right? And I actually, I recently made a Twitter post about this, just kind of telling that story. And, it's kind of getting more into the culture of Web3, aka crypto and NFTs. And I kind of realized okay, so we have this community. People love to be here. We don't need to attach a token to this. We don't need to attach, something that has price fluctuations like this. And attach that to the emotions of the community. That's called a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
And so we pivoted to build something else, and that's where I'm at today. We built a piece of community software called Drip, and Drip, it lives in a platform called Discord, which is where communities live. Discord is kind of like Slack, but it's it's free. Anybody can start it up and customize it and all this stuff. And so it's where communities live. Mm-hmm. So we built this app that you can plug into your Discord, and it just makes it fun, right? Like it takes a digital community, infuses it with a virtual economy, and people can start to earn virtual currency and spend it as well.
How does that work?
So an example of that is let's say that you had let's say that you had a podcast that gets like 1 million viewers, right? Mm-hmm. You kind of have a community, right? People that like you, I like to watch your stuff. Mm-hmm. And I imagine that your community had a single place that they can interact with each other and with you. That's not on the timeline, right? Because commenting, on videos or posts, that's not really community.
Right.
Community is, is actually being able to connect with somebody one-on-one like this, and even hop into a voice call and, and develop deeper connections.
This is the real-time component.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly, real time. And so what you could do is you can reward people for engaging with your videos on YouTube. Right? So you can, it's called a quest. You can make a quest and say, hey, if you watch this video, drop a comment, you'll get 10 points or 10 gold, whatever it is you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
So now I've just watched your video, I've claimed my 10 gold, awesome. I've supported you, and you've given me something of value. Now these points, I can use it in your community, and I can use it by, I could tip other people, inside of the community. I could tip Seth, be like, hey man, thanks, I don't know, for that link you shared the other day. Here's 5 points. I can play games like multiplayer blackjack and poker, inside of the community, with this virtual currency I've earned.
Within the Discord server?
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
I can purchase stuff from the store, maybe some merch or something like that. Whatever.
That was what my next question was going to be.
Yeah, exactly. We're about to release a Shopify integration that will let people purchase one-time use discount codes for Shopify. Right? So, I don't know, for 100 points, get yourself 25% off of anything in the store.
And then that's how you transition into real-world currency?
It's not, a real-world currency because you're just purchasing like a discount code.
Yeah.
But you're getting something of value from it. It's like
yeah.
if you go into a Chuck E. Cheese or something, you get some coins, and then get some tickets. And these tickets you could exchange for a teddy bear on the wall.
Right.
Right. And so the special thing about Drip is it creates this virtual economy for a brand that gives essentially limitless flexibility for the fans and customers to enjoy the currency that they earn. And so, very different from loyalty programs nowadays, like Starbucks, for example. You go, you buy a coffee, or get 5 points, eventually you can get a free coffee.
Right.
But imagine that, you could do a lot more with those points. You can buy some Starbucks merch, or you can play, and use those points inside of a game that Starbucks has built, or a Fortnite map, or maybe, a Minecraft metaverse or something like that, right? So you've got, just a lot more flexibility with how you can, reward your users.
What type of content creators or businesses do you see being able to take most advantage of that, or is it more that this is completely wide open?
Yeah, so right now our focus is on Web3 communities. And the reason for that is because if you have a Web3 company, whether it's a token or an NFT, or software, if you don't have a community, you don't really have a project. Like that's how it is, in Web3. Like if you don't have a community, then you don't really have a business. And that's like one of those things where Web3 is very different from Web2, is that, in Web2, you've got customers.
And what's a prime example of that?
Let's just say an e-commerce store, for example, like the funky beer glasses that we were selling.
Okay.
Right? Every single customer is completely siloed, and they don't really talk to the other customers.
Gotcha.
They might in like an Instagram post in the comments, but that's not community.
Yeah.
It's just you're just announcing something.
Gotcha.
And so, I think one of the things that Web3 does right is community, right? And so, we're tackling Web3 communities first because that's where our network is, and that's, like we, essentially built this for ourselves first because it's like we use this product every day ourselves, so we built it for ourselves, right? And so we understand the customers that are like us.
Right.
Right. And so eventually we're going to step outside of Web3 and offer this to gaming and streaming, like influencers and brands, and eventually over into every consumer-facing business, So your favorite like local coffee shop, right, can offer a points program that's actually exciting, that's actually interesting, right? Not just get a free coffee after you buy 10, but like earn some points and you can buy some merch, or earn some points and you can play this this game here that we built that lets you buy skins and you can compete with other customers in this game, right? And so it just adds a lot of really, really interesting experiential layers, to the brand itself.
It essentially makes what is a traditional static rewards program more of a dynamic, interactive platform.
Exactly.
So do you see something like that is, I know Discord serves a lot of different roles to a lot of different people. Is it just something right now for you that's just the place to host it and you see this becoming its own independent thing? Or are these Discord places where these communities come together, are they a fixture of the immediate future in your opinion?
Yeah, so currently it's a Discord native platform, but we are going to be moving off of Discord or not off of Discord, but like actually having a web platform. But the reason we started with Discord is it's a lot like like an iPhone. You've got the App Store and a bunch of apps, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these apps are extremely valuable,
Right.
right? And so the Discord App Store is a lot like this, right? Except instead of selling apps to individual people, you're selling it to communities that have a lot of people, right? So, for example, like we have almost 400 different Discord communities that use Drip, and about 500,000 unique members across these communities. 2 months in, right? And so,
Dang.
yeah, 2 months in after public launch, and so what's cool is we target communities that are businesses, right? So they have a little bit of budget. It's not too expensive. There's a free version as well. But the beautiful thing about Discord is the network effects. The fact that if somebody's using your app, other people see it. And within 2 clicks, they can add it to their own community if they want to, right? And so if the app is impressive, and they love it, we as Drip don't have to spend any marketing dollars.
Right.
It's just, it's word of mouth, which is the most effective form of marketing, right? And that's where the power of community comes in, is it's all about word of mouth, right?
So would you say that that's the most integral part of building these communities, is just giving people the avenue to share this stuff directly instead of, like you said, just being siloed where we're just marketing, directly at one another? Is that the special sauce?
I think the special sauce is when a community is fully using Drip, as a part of their strategy, as a part of their community engagement strategy, right? Because you're going to have somebody that comes in and sees, oh, wow, I really like what Bad Bears has going on. This is cool. I want that. Oh, these messages are coming from Drip. Like I'm going to learn about Drip, click on that, and add it in. And so the secret sauce really is, for us, it's funny because it's this like this loop that benefits everybody. So if a Discord community is fully using Drip, it spreads the word. But for them to fully use Drip, we kind of have to help them a little bit sometimes. Like even though the product is really easy to use, we have to do a little bit of onboarding,
right,
to get them to that 100% level to sell it for us. And at the same time, it's benefiting their community, right? And that's kind of the secret sauce.
Do you think that that's what attributes most to how quickly you've had growth? I mean, you get pretty good numbers for 2 months. Do you think that that's just inherently being picked up by people using it?
Yeah, what's crazy is we spent essentially $0 on marketing this thing, right? And it's really just been people installing it, falling in love with it, and other people seeing it, right? So that's the powerful network of, effects of Discord that you really, really don't get on other platforms. Like with, I don't know, something like Facebook or Instagram, even Twitter, you have ads, right? Of course you can have like a business page or something, but you're not going to get a lot of reach, right? Like you can't really tell if Seth is using this product here, right? Like if you buy like a cool mop or something like that, I don't know that.
Shout out Swiffer Wet Chat.
Or a sweet high corp coffee mug.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
You would never know.
And I think that's kind of where, seeing the community as a fixture of the future. We've got like B2B, we've got B2C, but now, when you have like a C2C network, you get that effect where communities, something catches on fire and it can jump to all these different communities that are already set up where it's centric on the people.
Do you see this sort of thing? This is just kind of a thought I just had. Do you see this kind of thing usurping what has become traditional marketing models, or this will just run alongside it for forever and we're just going to have two different things? Because at the core of this is marketing to some degree, yes?
Yep. Yeah, it's marketing. It's also it's also a real value add to a business or a brand.
Right.
Right? Like it's not just, like traditional loyalty programs, the purpose of it is to get people to buy more.
Yeah.
To get more. But like with this, it's different because it's you're making your brand more fun.
Is this sort of like the bait for engagement because attention is the commodity, and once you've got someone's attention, then you can get their money? Is this the road?
That's funny that you say that, because the first slide, in my pitch deck is attention is the new world currency.
100%.
100% it is.
Could not agree with you more there.
Exactly. And if you can captivate somebody's attention, that's extremely powerful. Really,
Right.
really powerful. I mean, imagine, a business or a brand, like they set up Drip and they have this point system, and these points are incredibly valuable, right? Because you can have, you can buy some skins, in this game, play this game, maybe earn some points and spend those points in a second game, and come back, and purchase this 80% off discount code for Shopify, right? Mm-hmm. And then, like, you're also connecting with the other customers or community members, and and building relationships based on a shared sense of loyalty to this brand, right? And so, if the sole source of supply of these points comes from, engaging with a YouTube video or a Twitter post, there's going to be a lot of demand for that. And so as soon as you post something, you're instantly going to get a lot of traffic to that, because your community, number one, loves you, but also number two, they want more points.
Right.
Right? And so, it's really powerful.
It sounds very powerful. It's a unique thing because, and I don't know how much it gets really talked about, because we get focused on the tangible things, but the intangible, the attention and the sense of community, and these things are really where the tangible things move from. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
Well, I'd like to get you out of here on something fun, but there's too many. So let's try to narrow it down to one. If you could get behind marketing one product, one thing to have in the Web3 space that's going to create what you think would be an incredibly dynamic and exciting community, what do you see that being? Who do you see like the pinnacle user of Drip being?
Honestly, we know that we have product market fit in Web3, right? Just based on our traction, based on the user feedback, right? So we know that we've nailed that down.
Right.
Now it's just about getting the word out, right? So that's like in my mind, that's like done.
Yeah, that one just goes now.
Exactly. I'd love to see some more, consumer-facing businesses using Drip. For example, we have like a vape shop in Michigan, right, that uses Drip.
Nice.
And they reward their people for buying vapes, whatever, and they can use it, inside of the community, et cetera, right? So I'd love to see more of that, more of like real world use cases of Drip. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, that's what it is. The next thing would be getting into the real world, and I think that's very cool. And that's what I asked you before. Is this how we kind of transition from online into real world? Because that's community to the nth degree then.
And there's also streamers and gaming studios would find a lot of value in this, because Discord was built for gamers initially. Now it's more kind of, like anybody can create a community in there, but it was initially for gamers. Say you're playing, Candy Crush on your phone. The studio that built that, they've got 10 other games, right? But you're just siloed into Candy Crush. You don't really know about the other games unless they spend advertising money to blast that to you, or advertise in game. But you don't have an incentive to explore these other games or even the community. But imagine that this gold that you earn playing Candy Crush you can use it inside of that gaming studio's Discord, across all the different ways we talked about, but also as a currency inside of their 9 other games, right? And so now that opens up a really interesting interoperable brand economy, to promote your other games to your players.
You need to get like some anti-silo shirts, like the Ghostbusters logo, but a silo in it.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're just a silo annihilator.
Exactly. Exactly.
I appreciate it.
People want to connect. And then the other use case is streamers. Every single streamer has a Discord community.
Right.
Right. So, so you're streaming on Twitch. I don't know, some Minecraft game that you're playing. You drop 10 silver to your 100 watchers, right? That silver can be used inside of your Discord community, but also inside of that same game that you're playing.
Yeah,
right.
People on Twitch already throw money around for small, like, little perks
and connecting. And stuff like that.
Yeah. Connecting that into something where you're also like, I'm imagining a streamer like, who has their YouTube channel where they post clips and they need more stuff there. Build up, your audience, get them going to your YouTube channel, and then they get those points to come back and spend on the stream. And it's just like one tiny use case.
Exactly. And it's all siloed, on Twitch itself, or on YouTube, but there's no interoperability between, multiple channels, right? And so this will actually attract people over to your other channels, from Twitch over to Discord, over to TikTok as well, because if you can be getting some points for watching TikTok, that's cool. So as long as your points have demand, inside of your brand or your community, people are going to want to seek out more points. Yeah, that's just economy, supply and demand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Tony, I really appreciate you coming down and letting us in on some of this. It's been well interesting, and I thank you so much for sharing your insights and your time with us. And I look forward to doing this down the road when some of this other stuff is flowered, because there's definitely some interesting stuff on the horizon, I can tell.
Love it, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, brother.
And Seth, you get a thank you, too.
Cool.